is April Jensen. I just wanted to today show you a couple tips about sculpting and teach you about some of the helps that we've got available. Show you our beautiful little ice princess, how she turned out. I just love her. Her little shoes are just so adorable. They've got the little Swarovski crystal on the bottom of each one, and she's got 3 more crystals up here at the top. Cute little arm shape. She is posable to a degree. You wouldn't want to keep moving her because it's just wire. That's her bend point. But she can do a few different poses and raise her arms up, and her head is actually one that can twist. So she's got that going for her too, and then her legs are very posable. So that's what the most recent sculpt box is this cute little ice princess doll. She's got this beautiful train and this pretty sparkly purpley silvery dress, and then I'll show you how to sculpt every bit of her. So this is how she compares in size to the elf that we just did. Aren't they cute together? And then in the past, early in the summer, we did this Renaissance maiden, and they're kind of close in size too. They just very different body style, and the way they're put together is different as well. So anyway, that's the newest sculpt box. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on shading the hands and attaching them to your doll. What I'm working on right now is my Mad Hatter doll. I have him in his body, but he doesn't have his hands or feet on yet. I still need to make his shoes, but his hands I've finished, and I've gotten them sculpted, and here they are. I just wanted to show you when you put the hand to the face, you want it to look about like that. So it's not too big, it's just typical hand size. Now, these hands are made with a wire armature, and we make these in the shops. And this set of hand armatures comes with a pair for hands, and then these can work on dolls that are like 12 to 14 inches all the way up to about 24 inches. We make these kind of on the big side, but they can be easily trimmed down to the size that you need. And all you have to do is compare it to the face of the doll that you're working on, and then where the middle finger would be, that's going to be where you're going to end up cutting it. And so you would just trim it all down proportionally from that point. So that makes it a lot easier to do the hands. When you're sculpting with these, sometimes you'll have an issue come up like this, where you're kind of fighting with the wires. And so see how the wires are just kind of poking out on these. Now I can go through with these and use some little pliers to trim that, just some wire cutters, and then I can also add in a little bit more clay and bake it on the tips, and then those will just disappear and the clay will blend into the rest of it. So that's typically what we do when you've got the little wires that can poke out, because sometimes as you're putting the clay on there, it just starts to wiggle around a bit, and it's really hard to keep that wire from showing through. Anyway, this pair is sculpted for a man, whereas I've got a woman's hand over here. Let's see, there's another one to compare a bit. That one's not a very pretty woman's hand. I think it was like an older lady that I'd done that one for. But these will go to the Mad Hatter doll. The last thing I wanted to tell you about is actually 2 things. This doll has inside of him a pre-made wire armature. And what they look like when they come to you is like this. It looks like this is about a 14-inch size. And these are the arms, and they can just be spread out as needed, and then you can shape the rest of the body. I'll often tape this part down and then split it for the legs down here. But they're nice because they're already sturdy and held together. If you still like using the body stockings, they're perfect and ready for those as well. So we make these in the shops also. And then the last thing we have as a help are these resin foot forms. Now this can be like a part of a leg and then a little shoe down here. It could be a full boot, whatever you want to create with this. We have it pretty narrow, so you can then, you know, add clay to it as desired. They come with holes in the bottom here in case you want to use the rod and post system in like a wooden base and let your doll stand firmly like that. So they're all ready for that with the holes inside. So you don't even need the tubes. Anyway, I'll be using something like this for this guy's feet. That'll be coming up later. But in the meantime, we're gonna give his hands a little bit of color. All right, here's a comparison for you for the two hands. This is the hand that has not been colored, does not have gloss nails, and this is the one that does. Pretty drastic difference, huh? So it's really good to know how to do the painting. Now all I did is I went over it with another layer of the blushing color. I did decide to add a tiny bit of purple, and I just kind of put that in the between fingers areas and kind of just brushed it out. And I added just a little bit more red on the palm just to make it be a little bit darker. But that's all it took. Now what we're gonna do is attach this hand to the arm. And what I like to use is hot glue. So I've got some hot glue heating up, and what I'm gonna do is I will load this tube with the hot glue, and then I'll be putting it on. But before you do that, see how the first arm was quite long? That's how the armatures come, so they can be trimmed to whatever size you need. And then this one I've trimmed because I did some experimenting by putting the hand on, and at first it was like way down here, so I had to cut off more of the wire. And then I finally got it to where I wanted it. So I make sure it's going to be fitting here. And then usually what you want is the fingertips are going to go halfway down the thigh, so his knee's about down here, so they would hit about there. Or that his thumb would hit his butt cheeks. It's kind of another way to tell. If you've got it all mapped out on a paper, you can just compare yours to a paper, and that works too. But if you don't, those are just the typical ways to know where to put your hand. So anyway, I'm going to take this off now. Now I'm going to fill it with the hot glue and then put it back on, and it's going to be permanently attached. Now if I ever have to remove it, I can, and what I would do is just take my heat gun and heat up this arm, and then that would melt the glue inside, and then I could pull it off. Other than doing that, it's permanently attached there unless you use heat to remove it. So the other thing I wanted to say is that usually when you put the hand on, you have the thumb just facing up, so your palm and hand is kind of going like that. That's the newest sculpt box. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on shading the hands and attaching them to your doll. Stop by makingfairies.com or artdolls.com to get all the supplies and DVDs and tutorials you need. Thanks a lot.